probably guessed right. In this recipe, we're going to be talking about safe grilling and how to safely grill a meat on the grill. And Jeremy's going to tell us about that. But we're using chicken. And the great thing about the chicken is that it gives us another option for red meat. So cancer authorities want us to cut back on our red meat. They say 500 grams per week. If we think that the palm of our hand or a deck of card size meat is 100 grams, that would be like 5 times a week. So chicken is a great option. But we also want to be careful with chicken. Because you want to cook it well, because we want to make sure we don't have that salmonella poisoning, and we want to use a digital thermometer. So we are going to, or Jeremy is going to show you how to properly use a digital thermometer to test internal temperatures of our meat. And there's also this wonderful marinade. So the marinade not only is going to flavor up the chicken, but it's also going to protect us from possible cancer-causing substances that can happen when you're grilling. So with that said, let's head over to the kitchen again with Jeremy and learn about this beautiful recipe.
Here, okay, so we're gonna start off with the marinade. I love these yogurt-based marinades because they're a great way to sort of transport flavor and help the other flavors in the marinade sort of cling to your ingredients. So it's a wonderful, it's classically used in a lot of different cultures as well to use yogurt as a marinade. Again, because of those flavors that it can help to sort of adhere to the product, but also because the yogurt itself will naturally tenderize if you're using it for chicken or the meats. It will help to tenderize the meat because of the acidic nature of the yogurt itself. So it's a great way to tenderize as well as flavor. So to this, we are going to add about a cup. And again, you can eyeball this depending on how much you're trying to marinate. But for me, I'm going to add about a cup of plain yogurt. And then to that yogurt, we're going to add our turmeric. It is a turmeric yogurt marinade. So we're going to add a little bit of turmeric, about a teaspoon of ground turmeric. And this, going to add a nice little punch of color as well. And then its favorite buddy, some black pepper. We're going to add about half a teaspoon of black pepper to that.
I wondered if you were going to put in that power couple mix.
Love it. Love it. And then we're going to add some fresh garlic.
I don't know. I was reading a little bit about the yogurt.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just, this morning I was reading up on marinades because what are you going to do on a Wednesday morning? Thursday morning. And did you know that, I don't know who decided to do this, but they marinated a chicken breast with an acidic type of dressing, and they marinated another chicken breast with a yogurt type dressing. And they did an MRI on them. And they found that the tangy yogurt dressing actually penetrated the meat further. So it actually gives it a better tenderizing, a better, and they're thinking that it might be the calcium. They think the calcium in the yogurt interacts with the protein in the meat in a way to tenderize it further. So I thought that was cool. I just read up on that this morning. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know that. I also, an interesting way to use an MRI, I guess, to see how your chicken is ready. All right. So a little bit of that fresh garlic minced, that's going to go in as well. And again, here's where you can customize, like use yogurt as your base, and then any other flavors that you enjoy, any other seasonings that you typically maybe use for a marinade, you can go ahead and add it right in and just mix it through. I'm also going to add a little bit of chopped cilantro. I know not everyone's a fan, so don't use it. If you don't like it, you can use a different herb. and a squeeze of lime juice, about a tablespoon, just a little more acid in there. And then the last little secret here, this is optional, a little tablespoon, and you can use even honey. So the balance of some of the savory and a little bit of the bitter and a little bit of the sweetness goes really well together in a marinade. Subbing out instead of honey, you can try using like a jam or a marmalade, and that'll give you that nice little bit of sweetness. This is just like a mango chutney, which is sort of a version. And what's nice about this is that mango, a little bit of mango flavor in there. I'm gonna go for a heaping tablespoon, and that sweetness is gonna work really, really well with some of these other flavors. So that's optional. Sort of added that last minute, but we're gonna mix this through. And what we're looking for is, again, you just want everything to be nice and well combined. I am using a thicker yogurt, so it is pretty thick, this marinade. I do want to thin it out just a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little touch of water to this to thin it out. Some of your like regular plain yogurts will be a little runnier, a little thinner, so they should be fine. But if you do use like a Greek yogurt or like an Icelandic yogurt, you might want to add just a little bit of water just so it runs easily off of my spoon. It'll just spread easier on my chicken. Okay, so the marinade is done. At this point, you have to decide, am I using some of the marinade at the end to sort of top my chicken or top my ingredients as a flavor? Because this is going to taste fantastic on its own. Then I would take some out and set it aside. You want to make sure that any of the marinade that touches any of your raw product is not used again at the end. Okay, that has to be discarded. Another food safety big one, big tip for you there. So I'm going to use it all for the chicken, for the marinade. So I'm just going to keep it all in here. And we're going to go ahead and add chicken. And again, you can use other proteins instead. I have just some boneless chicken thighs that I'm going to throw in here. Just makes it a lot easier. But use what you like.
And Jeremy, question.
Yes.
Did you wash that chicken? Did you wash those chicken thighs? It's a test.
Not wash the chicken. No, that is we're in the do not wash chicken camp. So I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit more about it, but yes, we do not wash.
Sure. Yeah. So I think a lot of people think that it's better to wash the chicken after you buy it, but in actual fact, you don't want to rinse the poultry, and you'll see that on Health Canada's website. You'll see it in many areas where we talk about food safety, because what's happening is if you rinse the poultry before cooking, the bacteria can spread everywhere wherever the water splashes. And you're going to be cooking this protein, so the less handling beforehand, the better. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Oh, of course, always wash your hands before and after. Always use separate plates for raw and cooked. But yeah, the biggest thing here is don't wash the raw chicken before you cook it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know that a lot of us may have grown up in, washing chicken household. And so if you can break the habit with as many of your family members as possible, please do so. I'll mention as well, I think I was watching a little video on it, because you might say, well, I just wash my sink after. The spread, which you wouldn't even notice, of water splatter that is carrying some of the potential bacteria from the chicken can go way beyond your sink. It could end up on your countertops. It can end up on other parts of your backsplash. It can end up on your floor. So yes, do not wash chicken. As long as you are cooking the chicken properly, then that is your best way to reduce the risk of newborn on this, and we'll show you how to check for that as well. So here is the chicken. It is nice and fully coated in this marinade, and we're gonna set this in the fridge to do its magic for a minimum of about 30 minutes. So that is going to maximize flavor. Because it's chicken, you can actually do this in the refrigerator as long as it's properly cooled overnight as well. But in addition to the flavor that is going to get imparted into the chicken and tenderizing, there's my alarm. So I will throw it to you. What else is the marinade do?
Okay. So I guess Thursday, the third Thursday of the month, is fire alarm testing day around Toronto. So the marinade is not only going to flavor it up, it's actually also going to tenderize the meat product, and that is also going to help in preventing the development of cancer causing compounds when you're grilling it. So the cancer causing compounds, there's two of them. There's the heterocyclic amines, and they can happen when you cook foods at a really high temperature. And then there's the I always forget how to say the other one. It's the PAHs, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and they actually can happen when there's smoking happening. So if there's like a flash, what do you call it? A flame, that and the smoke together can cause these items. So the marinades can protect, adds an outer layer, kind of protects the meat, but it also tenderizes it so that there's less likelihood of the development of those cancer-causing compounds. And I don't know if there's more to add to that, Jeremy, from your perspective.
Yeah, no, I think you covered most of it. The one thing I'll mention, in particular, because it relates to the chicken we made today, is sometimes if your marinade has a source of sugar, so whether it's like honey or like I added pan today, that will give you some of that charring. It'll start to burn because sugar burns a little bit quicker, but it wouldn't be the same as what you're talking about today.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's not the meat. Yeah. So it acts as a bit of a barrier for it.
Yeah. So I would say, and again, I cooked mine indoors, just on a little pan grill. So we're gonna have a little bit of that nice grilling here, and we want to make sure that it is cooked to a proper internal temperature. So we use our food thermometer. This is one of our favorite tools to keep in the kitchen. If you don't have one of them, I would really highly suggest you get one and get a digital thermometer. It is really the most accurate thermometer. Some of the other ones, like the non-digital ones, you have to calibrate them pretty often, and even then, they're not super accurate. So really, really handy to have a nice digital thermometer. Make sure it's nice and clean before you use it. You turn it on, and then to get a proper reading, what you want to do is stick it into the thickest part of your meat. So with these, I'm using my chicken thighs. They are boneless, so it's a little bit easier. And I'm sticking into the thickest part of the meat. And what I'm looking for, what's a little harder to see, I'll stand behind it, is for a minimum reading of 65 degrees Celsius as your internal temperature for chicken. So chicken, you want to make sure that you're hitting that, which I have hit. It was just resting here. And if you are using a chicken with bone in it, try to avoid going close to the bone. Just go off of it, but get into that thickest part there. Okay, so have our chicken, and I'm just plating it. It's nice and grilled. Really, really aromatic from that marinade. And I'm just throwing it on some. I have just some radicchio leaves, a nice little bitter salad here that I'm serving it with.
So, Jeremy, I'm sorry, Jeremy, you cut out a little bit for me. So the internal temperature is at 165 Fahrenheit or 74 Celsius?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah.
165.
100.
165.
Yeah.
Sorry, Celsius. Yeah,
I missed the 100. So yeah. So okay.
Sorry, 165
Fahrenheit.
5 Fahrenheit. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is turmeric yogurt marinated chicken. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of that extra lime on top, and there we go. There is
Awesome. Beautiful.